Hey, what do you call a icicle that gives you an exam?
I mean, you told me to say no regardless of what the first line was, so I don't know how that works, but go on.
A testicle.
Okay, well, on that note, welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Shameless Plug podcast, where it just progressively gets more disappointing every episode. I'm TMT Coco. Almost forgot who I was. Who am I joined with the bad one liners here?
I am Lick My Sock 117.
All right. Well, I'm going to make a bold assumption right now, and I hope you're ready for this. I'm going to assume that you are sitting down. Are you in a seated position right now?
I think I've spent more than 80% of my life in a seated position. So yeah, that's a fair assumption.
All right, good. So it wasn't like a horrible bet. Are you comfortable? Okay, hang on. Are you wearing pants? Let's
No.
get that going. No, okay, well that's concerning, and I don't want any further details whatsoever. I happen to be wearing pants, and I mean right now it's not bad. I got track pants on, but every single day I think about this. Why are pants not designed for sitting? Like, you ever looked at pants that have like a 90-degree bend from like the hip to the legs? You know what your legs actually do when you sit? You ever seen anything like that?
Right,
Or
when they're
like even a
crinkled.
45? Yeah, no. You get the straight up and down the tubes. Like, my legs aren't tubes. I don't know about you. Mine, like, they got some more shape to them and like pivot points. And they come up in a V, which I don't know if you're familiar with anatomy, but I don't think that happens to anybody. I'm pretty sure that's just not accurate at all. And yeah, like I have to wear for my job when I actually go into the office, which is almost never. I have to wear like semi-formal clothes, so like button-up shirt, dress pants. And man, does it suck to sit down. Like, if you get a pair that fits nice when you're standing up, in my experience, you do not sit down with those pants. You need a larger size of pants to sit down comfortably, or else it just gets up there.
So we need
And
like
I
a
don't understand.
keep going, keep going.
I don't understand how we went to the moon, what, 60 years ago? Something like that? And yet we still cannot figure out how to make pants that are the shape of a human body or in the shape of how we are normally positioned. Like, I think it's fair to say a lot of people spend a lot of time sitting down. Why are they wearing standing up pants? Why is there no sitting pants? I don't know. It bothers me to no end. I don't know
So,
what your
so,
thoughts on
so
this
you're
are, but
requesting a specific line of pants that are for the sitting down as
yeah,
opposed to
like
the standing pants.
like if I'm holding them up, right? If you hold up a pair of pants, they go straight down. Give me a pair that's at least on a 45, so I'm like half and half, you know?
Like stiff, like on a 45.
Well, like just that's where the fabric goes, you know? Like instead of it just being straight fabric all the way down, it like arms on a coat. They don't go straight out or straight down. They go out on a 45, you know? Like something like that where it's even remotely going to be in the form that my legs are going to be in. It's like it's
I'm,
it
I'm with you, but I'm just trying to imagine it any different than what it is right now. Like, so like if you had sitting pants that were on the 45 or whatever it is, when you're
right.
standing up, they would just like crinkle in the front, like a crinkle fry. That doesn't exist. But anyway, the the crinkle would be like at the
Save it
knee,
for
right?
later.
Right.
Well, I think okay, so with regular pants right now when you sit down, it gets tight at the butt and then like crinkles at the front, especially with zippers, and that kind of makes things look like something else is happening than is actually happening, which is not good to start with.
Like it
But
gets tight on like the upper thigh and like the knee,
yeah,
and then you get
yeah,
like the
up
crinkle
the
on the side of the knees, and then you get a little bit of a bunch up, where the business end is.
yeah, like it's so poorly designed. But yeah, I guess if you had sitting pants and you stood up, it would
Yeah,
be
it's like there would just be a
well,
bush on your knees of fabric from like
well,
extending your legs.
it would be Yeah, extra on the knees, tight in the business, loose at the back.
Yeah, like I don't understand what, like, because like
Which
you'd
I
have
mean,
extra fabric on the
there's been
thigh.
there's been significantly stranger fashion statements, right? I'm like, it's plausible. It just would take a lot of conditioning of the masses to accept
What?
this type of pants. But like when you're sitting down, when you are in the intended position, that's comfort. Like if you're at home and you're in your sitting pants, you're relaxing.
Track pants are sitting pants.
But track pants are just regular pants that are significantly larger usually. Like no one wears
They're
tight
just
track pants.
stretchier. They're stretchier. It's a
Yeah,
different material.
there's they're stretchy, which kind of circumvents the fact that they're completely shaped wrong for the human body, and usually larger. Like people wear baggy sweatpants
To
in
be
general, I'd
comfortable.
say. Yeah,
So we're
which
specifically
means,
talking about jeans then. You want sitting jeans and sitting like formal wear.
well, no, even if you like, if you didn't wear a bigger size to be more comfortable, you would be less comfortable, right? So there's still a level of discomfort from just sitting in regular pants.
I just cut pants out of the equation. Like that's where we're at now. Like I'm beyond. Like I'm reinventing the wheel. Like ever since I
I
did my
don't think
last
you're
year of school.
reinventing it. I think you're just going back to before the wheel when they didn't have anything.
Like I
You're
just
trying.
let's just eliminate the problem altogether, you know.
Like, what's the word for the opposite of evolution? Because that's it, I think.
What is the opposite of evolution? De-evolution?
Devolution.
Devolution?
Uh,
Demolition? I
de-
don't know. Like,
well, it's to devolve. So would
devolve.
it be devolution?
I've
I guess that
devolved.
just it sounds weird. Yeah,
I've never heard devolved in a sentence.
really. Well, that shows that you are in fact devolving. I
Like
guess.
you don't you don't devolve a Pokemon like you know what I
Well, no. Why would you do
mean.
that?
Some
That's
people
just
do. Some people want the friggin' Pikachu back. They don't want to
no. That that
Raichu.
that's a canon issue. Like that's just you wanting to change
What?
the way the Pokemon works.
No, wait. Oh, I need to. Can I phone a friend? Do I get a lifeline?
No,
Because
this
my
is a
better
cash
half,
cow.
she knows all about the Pokemon. I'm pretty sure you can devolve a Pokemon. Like that's a thing. That's canon.
Eh, that might be like the newer stuff that I haven't personally
Like you
experienced.
force some kind of berry down its throat. It doesn't want it because it doesn't want to devolve. It wants to evolve.
Well, yeah, nothing you do to Pokemon is really like PETA wouldn't be okay with it. Let's put it that way. Not that they're okay with most things, but still.
Been
But
watching
yeah,
her play that new Pokemon game, and there was this one clip, not from her, but we were watching clips on it where like it's like this Pokemon roam around in the wild. It's like an open world Pokemon game. This new Pokemon Arceus on the Switch,
yeah.
and there's this one clip. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's a giant Snorlax just starts running at the player, and the player throws their Pokemon out to fight it, and they have the smallest Pokemon. I don't know what it is. It's Generation 11 or whatever the
Oh
hell,
god.
and just the smallest like a Togepi in front of the Snorlax. And the Snorlax just like like just annihilates him. Like I'll have to send you the clip, but it's hilarious. Anyway, sorry. Back to your pants.
Well, no, I made my request. It's just up to society at this point to make it happen, really. Like, can Elon Musk make sitting pants?
Why
Or at
can't we
least
just
pants that
make?
don't come up in a V?
Can we just make all round better pants? Like, why do we have to like segregate into sitting and standing pants?
Oh, yeah, just in general would be cool. Because, like, what have we really done with pants past removing bell bottoms from, like, circulation?
Looking back into the 1920s, how have pants changed over the last 100 years?
Like, basically,
They
the
got more
waistline went
expensive.
down until, like, the 90s. And then it's gone back up. That's all they've done with pants.
What do you want?
Like, I hate pants. I hate them.
I just don't
Shorts
wear
are a
them.
bit better, but it's not like I exclusively wear sweatpants that are one size larger than they need to be. Aside from like work,
Wait, you
but
got to fit a hand in there, you know? Like what?
all right. Well, I'm gonna have to change the rating for the show. Very good. That's paperwork. But going back to that Pokemon game, how do you feel about them changing the formula? Because they kind of hinted at changing the game in the last couple. Like it went from just being that top down, old looking game to a little bit better, and now it's like a completely, like a third person adventure almost.
Yeah,
You
like
probably
we've
have more exposure to it than I do, but
yeah, like I watched her play a little bit. So I've seen her play ever since we've been together. She had Let's Go, and then there was the remakes, I think.
yeah,
I can't
I
remember.
love the remakes. Yeah,
Yeah, there was like the remakes of Diamond and Emerald, maybe. I don't really remember. And then you got this one, Pokemon
Sword and
Arceus.
Shield as well.
Oh, sorry, yeah. There was Let's Go, there was Sword and Shield, the remakes, and now this one, Pokemon Arceus. I've seen her play all of them. The
Yeah,
first, all of them before this, the exact same. Every one of them was more or less the exact same. The only thing that was different about like, I think it was Let's Go, was like you would see the Pokemon like in the wild. Like you wouldn't just be walking through a bush and all of a sudden the screen would flash and be like, and then all of a sudden you ran into a Pokemon, right? Or like you'd be in a
yeah,
cave and you just like the screen would flash and there's a Zubat in front of you or whatever. But anyway, like so in this new one, it's like they took Pokemon and Breath of the Wild and just threw them in a like 7 minutes in Heaven closet together and just see what came out. Like if you're familiar with Breath of the Wild, it's that but Pokemon, which I think is really
yeah,
cool. And like it's around the time where like it's like kind of Back to the Future kind of thing. You get yeeted through a portal by some kind of legendary Pokemon, and all of a sudden you're back when they just invented the Pokeball, and you have to go discover like all these Pokemon. So it's pretty cool. Like the whole premise is pretty cool as far as Pokemon goes. Now for like the actual like gameplay wise, it's it's the first time I've seen it be different. Like you're actually out there, you see the Pokemon roaming around, and you have to physically throw a Pokeball. It was almost like Pokemon Go. Like you tap your screen and you threw the Pokeball at it.
yep. They never went in the right spot. Yep.
That's right, yeah. So now you have to actually hit the Pokemon with like a little targeting reticle. You have to hit the Pokemon with a Pokeball. And like some of these Pokemon are massive. And like it's pretty cool just like roaming around. And like I said, like with the Snorlax, like the Snorlax is huge. Like so you have like you have three choices. You can try to just hit the Pokemon with a Pokeball. You can put your Pokemon out to fight it, or it's just gonna come at you and kill you. Because like you actually have like a health bar as a player. Because like in every other Pokemon game, you couldn't die. There was no death. Like you would just lose
Yeah.
your Pokemon and then that'd be it, right? But this one, like you can actually die. Like the Pokemon will kill you, and I think that's a magnificent change.
Good lord, they're stepping it up. Yeah, the only thing I saw on it was I saw the start where basically, from my understanding, the title Pokemon is like Poke God, and then you're basically Jesus, from my understanding. He just throws you into the world where you need to be, and you basically save it. But I've seen a ton of complaints of people saying that, like, yeah, they have this big open world now, but it's super empty.
Well, that's the
And
thing with any open world game.
yeah, but I almost feel like I don't know if it's a limitation of the Switch. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the specs are on the Switch, but I don't know if it's capable of having like these super big, rich worlds like the other consoles are, or if they just like threw it out there and just didn't want to put more dev time into it or something. But yeah, from what I've seen, like you do see the Pokemon around and stuff, and then they'll just be like wide open nothing with like 2010 graphics in there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's a graphical like hardware problem because they run Skyrim on the Switch. You know what I mean? With like
True.
no breakdown of like the world or anything. Like just flat out like if you had it on PC or console or Xbox. I mean, we're talking about another console, valid console, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like Pokemon has the same problem as like Madden or Call of Duty or whatever, or like you can almost say Battlefield now, where like they just have like the franchise and like with Madden and like FIFA and NHL, like if you had the game from 10 years ago, you had the game from this year. It just might look a little better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like but like games in 2012, like that's 10 years ago now, which is crazy. Like they don't look bad. And like
For the most part, yeah.
sometimes they're better. Like
Yeah, so
2007 to like 2012 was like more or less the golden age of gaming for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, except for like the only ones outside of that that I really think were good were Sea of Thieves, Battlefield 1 and 5.
Yeah,
But yeah, 2042 was just such a freaking backwards throwing sand in our face type thing. But
EA
yeah,
just had
I
their
mean,
earning call for 2042, and they're like, yeah, it did not perform as expected, and they're blaming it on the pandemic for it.
yes, because of the pandemic that keeps people at home and stopping them from gaming.
That's right.
That that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't invest in them for like anything anymore, unless Apex Legends 2 comes out. Everything that comes from them is probably going to be rushed or mediocre quality.
From EA in general, you're saying?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what's the last good thing that EA came out with?
Well, the Battlefields before this one, I haven't had a problem with. Like the only mediocre one before all this was probably Hardline, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that was such a weird like topic shift. I don't know why they did that, but I mean, apparently the story was decent. I never finished it. Just wasn't what I was looking for Battlefield. Really, they had some interesting stuff for multiplayer though, because they had night maps with like a lot of night vision equipment and things like that. But I think the one thing that like makes or breaks a good Battlefield, or at least like people wanting to play it, is helicopters, and it didn't have helicopters, and I think that kind of killed it right off the bat. Like all the Battlefield 3 and 4 lifers that always complain about every Battlefield that isn't a remake. I feel like it's always the ones that don't have helicopters. Like you just got to have that for the total sandbox experience. But
it's unfortunate that we're stuck in this age of modern gaming where everything is just about money. Like it's always been about money, but like now that the gaming industry is probably one of the largest forms of media entertainment in the world now. I'm sure it's neck and neck with music and movies and TV shows, but it's up there. Like it's not, it's an actual contender, and the money to
I
be
think
made
it's
there.
way above movies now, which
Yeah, I think so too. I'm
like
not sure about music, but
most people don't realize.
yeah,
Eh.
but we're stuck in this modern gaming thing where everything has to be monetized. There's no complete out of the box like just complete package products anymore. Like everything has a day one patch. Nothing is completed on time. Like I'm all for like devs like taking their time until something's actually right, but they have the big corporate dudes, men and women, putting the pressure on them from the top. Be like, hey, we got to get this out. We're losing money. Like, what's going on here? You know?
Yeah, that's why I'm still hopeful for like the next Elder Scroll games because it's been what 8 years already and no sign of a new game. So fingers crossed that they've been working on it the whole time. But
Well,
it might just be that they're not even doing anything. They just shelved it and they'll come
Todd
back a year
Howard comes
before it
out
comes
16 times the detail.
out.
Like Fallout 76 was bad, like really bad, and I think they're still trying to clean up from that, like Bethesda is. Oh,
It'll be interesting to see what changes now. Like they haven't put anything out since the acquisition, but
no. The only thing that's been announced is that Starfield, like from Bethesda, will be an Xbox exclusive, a timed exclusive, I believe. I think.
yeah, it'll probably be a year. I think that's what PlayStation's done a couple times.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then
on
even before, so like Microsoft, they just bought Activision Blizzard, so now that's getting actually reviewed by like a bunch of lawyers and stuff in the States. I can't
yeah, the
remember the acronym.
government's like, hold on, it's the is it the FDA?
Something like that.
No,
And they're trying to make sure that
so
like they don't have a monopoly as well. Like they're trying to make sure that everything stays like a competitive marketplace and stuff like that, which I think is really good because you're about to go into our next story here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but before we get to that, I think as long as there is Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, there's no monopoly. Like one, as soon as one of them goes down, then there's a serious chance of it. But until then, we've got like the holy trinity, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fine. But yeah, on this topic, couple days ago now, it was announced that Sony's going to be buying Bungie, which is, if you told me that 10 years ago, I would be severely confused because if anyone forgets, Bungie, they're the ones that made Halo 1 all the way to Halo Reach, I think it was. So
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, ODST, and Reach. And
Halo Wars
Halo
1.
Wars was kind of their thing. And then I think the only thing that they've actually made since then was just Destiny 1 and 2, if if I'm remembering correctly.
And they paid,
But
what did they pay? Oh, 3 billion maybe? Or was it more than that?
enough for a one game, like one active game studio.
They paid like 3 billion and change, and meanwhile Destiny 2 is free on Steam. Leedle, 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 leedle.
Yeah, I never got into Destiny, but I've heard like a lot of good things about it.
I played Destiny 2.
Except for there's apparently there was so much content that they had to like vault some of it, so now the story doesn't make sense if you're new, which kind of made me not want to play it.
It was one of
But
the first like live service games when that was becoming popular with the modern gaming.
you're really pushing that this time.
I hate modern gaming, dude. I hate it.
Seems like there's an agenda here, but yeah, it like they haven't really made anything bad, so they definitely have some value, and I'd be interested in what they make next. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just Sony's like, okay, so you're making Destiny 3, right? Right, soon, next year, right?
Right, right, right.
Like,
But like I think they even Destiny or Destiny, Bungie. I think they said like an announcement on Twitter or whatever the verse is, that like their games are not going to be PlayStation exclusives. So
yeah,
like, why
like
buy them?
there was a few points that they've made, and that was the first thing I thought. I was like, so what did Sony actually get? Because
Yeah,
it was like their games wouldn't be exclusive. They would have total creative control of their IPs still, and there was something else. So it was basically now Sony owns it, but has no control over it whatsoever. So it definitely seems kind of pointless. But I guess if they're doing their own thing right, Sony can just sit back and use it as like an investment, just get money from their success as long as they are successful.
yeah. I
So
mean, like people were saying that it might have been in response to like the Microsoft Activision, but then they came out and said, "Nah, like our acquisition for Bungie has been in the works for like 5 6 months already." But like, do you think they did it? Like, obviously they have spies. Spy. It's like the Cold War between Microsoft and Sony, right? Like, so like, do you think they knew that Microsoft is on this huge studio binge of acquiring all these studios? I think they bought Bungie so Microsoft couldn't. You know what I mean?
well, but Microsoft, they almost don't like wouldn't need Bungie since they have 343. Like they already have the rights for Halo, so it's only Destiny that they're missing.
Yeah.
And I mean 343 was a portion of like it was an offshoot basically. So they half own Bungie, like they own old Bungie. So it would just be them buying Destiny 2 essentially. And I don't see them needing to do that since it's already free to play on like wherever it's available anyways. So but yeah, I think they probably like really got into serious conversations. Sony did when Xbox announced the Bethesda merger thing
Yeah, they knew it was getting serious
first.
then.
Yeah, because like Microsoft made a few acquisitions before then. Like they've constantly just been buying places here and there, like
Yeah,
Rare
smaller
and
ones.
stuff. But yeah, that I feel like it's probably gonna get to the point where any new developer is going to come out, make a game, and then just get bought by one of the three companies. Well, probably one of the two because Nintendo just does its own thing. But yeah, I can't see it. I can't see them stopping unless the government with these reviews says, "Yeah, no, you can't do that."
It's crazy how they can do that, right? They can just come in and be like, yeah, you know what? That's going to mess up the marketplace for gaming. We're not going to allow this purchase to happen.
Yeah, like kind of interferes with the whole free market capitalism idea, but I kind of get it. But like,
Speaking of Halo,
like,
what'd you think about that TV trailer?
well, I think like my biggest concern, 100%, was the graphics. Like they had some other live action thing a while back, and I can't remember what it was called. And the graphics were kind of mediocre on it, like the animation for all the Covenant forces and stuff like that. And I was worried that this was going to look like that, like the budget would show through. I don't actually know what the budget is, but I was impressed by, like, we got to see the dropships, we got to see the jackals, we got to see elites, well, the arbiter, but elites pretty much in general, and like it all looked game quality. Like it looked like it came out of the game and then was just relit to look good with the live action stuff. But my biggest complaint, which is kind of the opposite of what I was seeing online, is why did they not use the voice of Master Chief
Steve
on a
Downs.
character that does not take his helmet off? Why did they do that?
Yeah. Well, it's like
That
the
would have made it
Mandalorian.
complete.
Pedro Pascal is the Mandalorian for Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
But
they
like,
use his voice and it's not him in the suit all the time. So like, why not?
yeah, like it just, that was the biggest thing right off the bat was, wow, he doesn't sound like Master Chief. And like I get not wanting, like having some flexibility in it, but to me that threw me right off. But the biggest thing I was seeing online was people saying, why does Cortana look like that? Basically, a lot of people didn't like how she looked.
Yeah. Like first off, I think I'm just happy to be actually getting it, like an actual date of this TV show, because like that was announced originally like 9 years ago, maybe even more, for a Halo TV series. Like I know they had Forward Until Dawn. They had a few other ones. I watched them all and they were all just mediocre. There was one that wasn't bad that had the Chief in it for like a minute and a half, and it was mainly following like ODSTs. But like this looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I'm in total agreement that Cortana needs to be touched up. Like you know when they did with Sonic, like when they released the original
Yeah.
Sonic trailer, and the internet just blew up and like, no, you need to change that. I
I don't
hope
think
that
it's
this
quite
happens.
that bad, but
I it was really
like
bad
Sonic
for
was
that.
a disaster.
But like imagine, like wouldn't it be great, like just turn up the contrast, just make her blue, like just make her totally blue. She doesn't need to be like humanized, you know what I mean?
Yeah, blue or purple. Like,
Yeah.
was it the original Halo? She was purple, but yeah, just some kind of something
The
to make her look a little more like a hologram, I guess.
yeah,
But like aesthetically, she doesn't look exactly like in the games, but I think looks pretty decent.
the actor's
And
fine,
I'm,
like the way she looks, like the face model or whatever. I don't even know if that's like, is that CGI or is that just a person they made blue? Like I can't really tell.
well, that part was CGI, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she's like it's the actual voice actress from all
Hmm.
the games.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she's physically acting it or not in
Yeah.
any of it. But
Make her blue. Make Master Chief taller, because like when he's fighting those elites, I don't know. Like you mentioned, it was the Arbiter. I think it is the Arbiter, because this is like the
yeah,
silver timeline that they're calling it, right? So like this isn't the same timeline as the games. I don't know if
which
you
is
knew
annoying.
that,
But
but I don't mind that because like we've already seen the games. Like we know the story of the games, right? Or most
yeah,
people do anyway. Like anybody who's going to watch this TV show has played the games. There's nobody that's going to be like, "Wow, Halo, wow, that looks interesting." You know, like there's no way. Right?
yeah, you kind of already have to
Like if you had never
be
seen
into it a
Halo
bit.
ever and you seen that trailer, you'd be like, "What the bloop is going on?" Like what? I have no idea. I thought this
Yeah,
was some kind of Christian TV show. Like I have no idea what's going on. But the dropship, the Phantom looked great. The Jackal looked fantastic. But yeah, the Chief, like when he's fighting the elites with like the energy swords, I don't know, their armor looked a little kind of like I wish there was more Halo 2, Halo 3 esque armor.
Mm.
But they were huge. Like the Chief is supposed to be like 7 and change feet tall, right? Like same, he's
Yeah,
supposed to
but
match the elite's height more or less.
elites were huge too. Like, I don't. I'm actually gonna look up how tall elites are,
But like
but
I feel like
like
they
they
were
are supposed
too
to be big.
big. But they were so much bigger than him. Like he's not supposed to be the size. Like the Spartans, all the Spartans look great. I don't know if that's supposed to be blue team that's in the. I'm not sure, but all the
Yeah,
Spartan
it's hard to
armor and
tell. Like,
like the weapons, they look great, except for the AK-47 in the opening shot. That seemed a little too like that's not 500 years in the future kind of thing. But that's like using a
yeah.
musket today, you know. Like,
Okay, so the official lore is elites are between 7'4" to 8'6". Master Chief in his armor is 7 feet tall.
yeah, but
I think
there's
it's
like,
I think it's the hunch that elites have, especially in
mm,
the games. They like lean forward and really hunch down.
yeah, and like they
I think
crouch,
that
like they're
kind
super
of
like
fucks.
tactical and stealthy, which like. I love the elites. They're my favorite Covenant species.
Oh yeah, if you were to stand the way that the elites stand, your thighs would be on fire. Like they, they get that half crouch going on, and they don't stop. But yeah, I don't know if it's the same voice actor for the Arbiter or not. Also, I
Well,
saw the flood in there, which is horrifying, and
it's
I
not.
didn't
It's
need.
I don't think it's the flood. There's no
You
way.
don't think it is?
No, I think. Do you know what I think it is? You know how like the hunters are like those worm things that come together?
Oh, you think it's just part of
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that. I'm like, oh god, are they actually doing that? They're just
I
gonna make this into a horror series.
I hope they do eventually bring the flood in, but like I don't think you do it until like end of season one or like season two, if there is a season two. I think it's 9 episodes. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure
don't know
though.
what their plan is, if it's a mini series or an actual series that they're going for. But I'll be interested to see how quickly they jump into it, or if it's just going to be like the first couple episodes are just boring, like exposition for people that don't know Halo as well or something.
They have to do that though. There's no way.
Yeah, it's just how much they do. I don't
This
know.
they should
And
just
like,
play the opening scene to Halo Wars One, where it's like 5 years. That's how long it took us to get Harvest back.
yeah, like the lore for Halo goes ridiculously deep. It's the same as like anything where you get a franchise where people can make books, the lore just explodes.
Yeah.
And Halo definitely did that. Like you can read all the way back to like the original Prometheans and the Flood and everything, like way before any of the Halo stuff started.
Oh yeah, Medican bias and all
And
that
like,
crap.
yeah, it's like there's so much to it. So I hope that the show kind of digs into that instead of just staying on the top and being like, "Oh, look, Master Chief Blast Elite, wow," type thing. But yeah, I don't know. It also has me super hopeful, like if this goes well, that they will eventually make a Gears of War TV. I don't really want like a TV show, but like a mini
Miniseries.
series or something. Yeah, like Dave Batista, the guy who plays Drax in Guardians and was also the wrestler Batista. Spoiler alert if people didn't piece those two together somehow, but he has apparently gone to Microsoft several times now saying that he wants to play Marcus Phoenix. And I think it'd be great because he has that ridiculously
Build.
like wide chunky build that Gears is known for. And like he already knows about Gears and he wants to do it, which I think is the big thing that you kind of need for
Him and
any
Terry
adaptation.
Crews as Coltrane.
God, that
Right
might be a
though?
little old,
Wouldn't
but
that be the casting?
like
Like what?
there's so many of these like just chunky alpha male chads that they that they could get that would probably want to do it. Like
Jason Statham as Baird. Just give him some hair.
they'd have to chunk him up and make him significantly taller.
What Baird isn't that chunky?
Well, they all look really blocky because of the armor and stuff,
Hmm.
and just the aesthetic of the games. But like the story for those games, like I wouldn't want them to redo it like a different timeline or anything. I would just go deeper into the actual existing story because that storyline is so good. And it kind of sucks that like on the outside, Gears just looks like just an ultra rated M shoot 'em up,
Hack and slash.
just like just a pool of testosterone. But
It is.
the story is so good. I mean, it is exactly that, but along with that is
No, for
such a
sure.
good storyline until five. Five kind of screwed up, but
But like that's the
oh
problem
yeah,
with like video game movies, right? It's like how do you make a video game movie and don't like exactly copy the video game storyline? Like I understand that's what most people want, and I wouldn't even mind that. But I think most like there's a small majority of people that were like, okay, I've played the game, I love the universe, give me something else, give me something more.
yeah. But I think mainstreaming Gears would kind of let that happen too. Like if they got that story across, like when Dom dies, men cry. Like
Spoiler.
if you could, okay, yeah, it's been how many years now? Like if you can make men cry in a
Yeah.
super like that kind of game, you can get anybody. And if they can figure out how to get that story across in a TV format, I think it'd be amazing. It'd be horrifying. Well, actually, it might be better because like I feel like watching someone get chased by a berserker isn't as intense as your animated character being chased by a berserker.
No, for sure.
But it'd still be like I wouldn't want them to make it PG. It's just it wouldn't work. They could, but I don't think it would work as well.
So like what if they made a Knights of the Old Republic movie? Would you want them to just like do like beat for beat? Or would you want them to change it up a little bit?
I think the overarching story I would want to keep the same of like the main character. I mean, like people that don't know it would get the shock of finding out who the main character is, but like everyone that played the game would obviously know. But still, that story of like Malik betraying Revan and stuff like that, and the whole kind of circle of Revan coming back and taking out Malik. I think it's good enough that you can just and old enough now that you could redo it, just keeping like the main plot points and main characters. Obviously, like the dialogue and what they do in every place could be changed or shortened.
Right.
Like you don't have to spend 3 real world days running around Taurus because you can't figure out where you have to go.
Can't figure out how to get past the damn elevator guard. Yeah.
Like there's so many times, but yeah, like that.
Would you prefer it to be like a movie, a series of movies, or like a limited series?
I'm not a super big fan of limited series just because when I start watching one, I want to watch the whole thing in one sitting, and that's like, oh well, this is 8 hours.
Hmm. But it's like
But
an
at the
8 hour
same time,
movie.
that allows for more stuff to happen,
Hmm.
but it kind of allows for more like garbage to be thrown in there too if they don't do it super well, like just more filler stuff. But
I think the
uh,
best thing for a KOTOR would be a limited series where you spend, I think you need 10 episodes. And you really got to flesh out the characters and the connection between like the big three. You know what would even be cooler? You know, like how on, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix, they actually have a choose your own adventure kind of section on Netflix. Imagine if they did that with KOTOR.
I don't like those though, because then you have to go back over stuff you've already done just to see the other options. It's like what was it, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 or something?
Black
Had
Ops
different
2.
endings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I got the worst ending. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going back and playing the whole game over again just to see a different cutscene at the end.
Well, what else are you doing? That's more content. That's more gameplay, right?
But if you have to repeat gameplay to get other
Right.
gameplay, I don't like that. I'd rather have just something completely different. But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil like any plot points for anybody who hasn't like played the game or whatever. I'm really excited for the remake. I know it's like 5 years away, but even if we never got a movie, the remake would be enough for me. I'm scared that they're gonna change up like the fighting mechanics because I know you don't like them. You don't like the D&D kind of like dice roll.
It's the only time that I've been okay with it. Like any other, if a new game came out that had that, I'd be like, no.
Oh,
But
okay,
for
you are on board
KOTOR,
with it.
I'd probably go back to it because that's how I played the original. So it makes sense to keep it.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, it'd be
I think
nice
that's gonna be
to.
fire. If they don't like,
It,
just don't change it. Don't change anything. If anything, add more like side quests. Like I don't know if I was telling you the other time, but I was playing KOTOR maybe 6 months ago. I found an additional side quest that I never knew about because like I never dive into the internet to like for the walkthroughs and everything. Like I just like finding it out on my own.
yeah.
And I found something with Mission's brother that you can actually like meet him. Like that's crazy. I never done that before. I don't know if you've done that.
Nah, I don't think I ever did.
Yeah, like
I
he's
never even figured out how to not destroy Manon. I ruin that place every time.
wait, what? Really?
I don't know if I consciously did it. I can't remember, but yeah, every playthrough I did, I'm pretty sure I always ruined it. I think it's just because it was so stressful and irritating sometimes that I was just like, just get me off here, and I never want to come back.
So wait, I'm
But
just
like,
like just to dive into a little further. Like I know many. If you haven't played the game, you have no idea what we're talking about. But so like on Manon, like what did you do that blows up that destroys? Like is it with the machine with the monster? Like is that
yeah, I'm
okay?
pretty
So you
sure like
poison it. You
because
poison the monster.
you do that, and then there's like the whole court hearing that you have to do, and I don't know if there's a way to get around it
Yeah, there
through
is.
different voice lines, but
Yeah.
I've never done that successfully. I've always gone in there and been like, well, I had no choice, and they're like, okay, well, we have no choice. Get off our planet, never come back.
So like it boils down to like your decision when you're underwater trying to get past like the giant fracs and sharks. So like you either do the math problem to like it's like the two jugs, one's 5 gallon, one's 3 gallon, and you have to put exactly 4 liters in one of the jugs. It's
Right.
that kind of math problem, or you can just do the quick route and like you're given like some kind of poison, you can just poison the water that kills the shark, but it ruins all the Koto supply.
Yeah.
So like if you figure out the math problem, it blows up just like the harvester, and then the monster just leaves you alone. The monster's totally fine, but it's like, oh, thank you for destroying this thing that was irritating the crap out of me. And then when you go up to like the court case, they're like, oh wow, like you just tell them like this is what happened, like this is where we were at, and they're like, okay, wow, thanks, because like they worship like the giant for action shark, and then you can just leave.
Yeah, they're dumb. Like, it deserves to die. Like, I don't regret my choice. It's just, it kind of sucks that I did the same one every single time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've done them both. Like I said, like I love like every 6 months. Like I'll just they have it on your phone now. Like that's crazy. Just playing like KOTOR in bed on my phone, and like I'll just find like these new story paths. Like I wonder if there's anything else I haven't found. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I couldn't see myself playing it on the phone, but if they do the remake, I'll go back to it for sure. But like, I have it on Steam, and I have the second one on Steam that I still haven't played through. I should.
Yeah, you have to put some mods on the second one because like I don't know how it happened, but originally when they released the second one, because I had the original second one on Xbox, like the
Yeah.
original Xbox. And I played through it and I don't remember finishing it on the original Xbox and I can't remember why, but when I played I have it on PC and I played on PC and it seems like it was unfinished. Like you just somehow get to the end and like there's gaps. And when I looked into it like online, you actually have to download like these mods, like the missing content, because they released it afterwards in like these downloadable DLC packages. And you can like download them, and then you have now a complete story for KOTOR 2 that I haven't played through that I would really like to. Because like just
And
somehow
they
you're just
didn't
like
make you pay for it.
no, it's just free. You just have to
Oh, the
install it, like going through
fools.
the mod. Yeah, I know it's not EA, right? So like,
They were a couple years too early.
but like it was such a weird story. Like you're just going along, you're trying to follow the beat. You're like, okay, 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 and then just like it's like you're watching a TV show that has 10 seasons, and you're playing through like season 4, 5, 6, and then all of a sudden you jump to season 10, episode 9. Like it's just weird. And anyway, I finally got an explanation out of that, so that was cool.
Yeah, when they make a remake for it, I'll go back to it. It's the same thing where, like, after a game gets to a certain age, I kind of don't want to go back because I know it's not gonna be how I remember it, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just remember it how it was. But
Yeah, for sure.
kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I remember that fondly, and that's for for some reason requested by absolutely no one. I'm sure is being remade into a drama, like a full on like serious drama, just called Bel Air, and it's supposed to explore like the whole lore is explained in the intro song where he talks about he got in one little fight and his mom got scared. Well, it's supposed to at least start off from what I've seen exploring that, but they're making it significantly more of a drama and bringing in a ton of politics and just making it really heavy, which I feel like is the total opposite of what the original Fresh Prince was.
Of the universe, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, like they're adding like a drama series prequel to that.
No, this is a like a remake
Okay,
basically.
okay, yeah.
Like it's a different story. Like it's not the same timeline at all.
And Will Smith is not in it.
He does not star in it. It's a different guy for him, for Carlton, for everyone, and they're younger too. Well, it's hard to tell how. I don't know how old the actor was for Carlton when that came out, but Carlton looks pretty young.
20s,
in
I'd say.
this one. But yeah, I like. I don't know who thought, hey, let's take this great like goofy comedy show and just bring it down. Like I don't remember much of the actual storyline of any of those episodes. I just remember watching them and just like having a good time. Just nothing super serious about them at all.
That's
And
an
I
additional
like
Peacock original. I'm just looking at it here now again. Just like that
yeah,
MacGuffin, or not MacGuffin,
MacGruber,
MacGruber. Yeah,
which is still to this day getting advertising from an Office episode from years ago. But yeah,
it's free real estate.
yeah, really. But yeah, I have pretty much no intention of actually watching that. But I keep seeing the commercials on TV, and it's like, man, just stop it. Don't do it. Abort. Cancel. Because it's I can't see it possibly going well.
No, I think it's just more garbage to like throw onto a streaming service. Like, looks like Peacock is like trying to make a name for themselves. Like, I don't think we have Peacock in Canada. I don't even know if you can get it. I have no idea. But it looks like it's just a six
Not
episode
sure.
kind of reboot for season one, and it's going to premiere this year. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
premieres mid February.
yeah. Pretty soon.
I was never a huge fan of like the old Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like I watched it, but like I never actually like followed the story that was like really happening. Like you just enjoyed seeing like young Will Smith. Like that's a young, clean rapper Will Smith. You know, like do your homework and
Yeah.
do the dishes and get home on time. Don't keep your mother awake worried about you all the time. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Like it's you just rhyme time with time. I'm not gonna let that
I had nothing
pass.
else. Dime. I
Point
didn't
that
want
out.
to put
But
drugs into it, but
okay. Well, again, changing the rating. But yeah. It was never something I got huge into. But it was like you always knew about it. Like someone said, Fresh Prince. You know what it was. You could think of a few scenes, but yeah, it seems like streaming. Like every single company out there is like, yeah, I need to make a streaming service. What am I gonna do? I have no content. I'll just recycle old content, and I I hate it. I don't support any of these channels, anyways. Like they might have some decent stuff, but the only things I pay for are Netflix and Disney Plus. Disney Plus, I forgot to cancel my auto renew, so that's half the reason I've had that for as long as I did. Like I haven't got my money's worth out of that yet. I watched Loki. When did that come out? Like 2, 3 months ago, and then didn't watch anything until this week when I started watching Book of Boba Fett and the very beginnings of The Mandalorian.
well, let's talk a little bit about Star Wars TV then. Now you're talking about Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I think it's wild how you're watching Book of Boba Fett where you haven't seen The Mandalorian. Originally, I would have thought that they were two like so like Dave Filoni, right? He's kind of like the prodigy of George Lucas, and
yeah,
he was making the Clone Wars with them, and then he made Rebels, he made Resistance that we don't talk about, Um, but then, so him and
Nobody
John
does.
Favreau getting together for these live action TV shows. And so there's this talk of like this whole Filoni verse kind of thing, right? So like you have 1 through 6, right? And then all the TV shows like the prequels and Rebels and stuff. And then you have Return of the Jedi. Then there's like a 30-year gap for 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
They're taking that 30-year gap and just like expanding, like just like they did with like between like 2 and 3, right? For Clone Wars and everything else. That's what they're doing, but live action.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like him and John are just like they have 30 years to play with. Like I'm beyond excited because like I just don't care about 7, 8, 9. Like that happens 30 years. Like to me, it goes Return of the Jedi and then The Mandalorian and now Book of Boba Fett. Like that's as far as we've gotten in the timeline. Like nothing else
Yeah.
matters.
The only thing I don't like about it is it means that they're progressively moving out of the era that I like
But they're
into
hanging
a
on to it
lesser.
though.
Yeah.
Like so like it's so weird though because like you need to watch both seasons of Mandalorian before you start the Book of Boba Fett, in my opinion, because like that's just like the timeline in order. Because at the end of Mando season 2, that's when Boba Fett shoots Bib Fortuna off Jabba's throne. Like
Spoiler alert for anyone that didn't know about that.
yeah, like if I don't know, but like there's a little end like a post credit scene, and that's when that takes place, and then Book of Boba Fett starts after that.
Yeah, I mean, like I knew the rough timeline, but at the same time, because I didn't watch like along with the Mandalorian releases, I ended up running into pretty much every spoiler and got like the general idea of what happens in it.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, it's on hiatus until the new season comes out, and Book of Boba Fett's coming out now. So if I do the Mandalorian, by the time I get to Boba Fett, I'm gonna be spoiled on that. So I figured if I just keep going with Book of Boba Fett as it comes out, at least I'll like genuinely react to what happens instead of pretty much knowing what's gonna happen already, and then I can just go back to Mandalorian
No, for sure. Because like,
like in
yeah,
the
I'm
off
totally
time.
with you. Because like, it's getting like within like 3 days, everything that happened in Wednesdays, like this coming episode, is already gonna be on the internet. So like, yeah, totally see like watching it with everybody. Like that's what I like to do.
Yeah,
But without like diving too deep, like, so this is your first dive into like Star Wars TV. Like you watched 7, 8, and 9. What do you think about like? I know you've only seen episode 1 of The Mandalorian, but you've seen like Boba Fett. Like, what do you think about like the feel? Like, do you like the vibe?
it feels like I'm watching a space western for it from what I've watched 5 of Boba Fett and the first episode of Mando, so not a ton of Mando, but it feels like I'm watching a space western where I'm watching a cowboy, and if it wasn't pre-existing characters, it could be totally unrelated to Star Wars.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't
episode one
really
of
give me
Mando
Star Wars vibes.
is 100% like a western.
Yeah, like
Season 1 of Mando, in my opinion, you could almost skip it because
yeah,
like from like start to the end, you really don't like nothing really changes. You learn more about the character. Like season 1 of any TV show. Season 2
yeah,
is really where it kind of kicks off, and it really feels more like Star Wars because like you're on these desert planets with him in the first episode, and same with like Boba Fett. You're on Tatooine. Like it just feels. But like, so you
yeah,
watched episode 5 without like getting too deep. Like episode 5 of Boba Fett is basically season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. If you ask me, he's not even in it.
yeah. That was a bit of an odd choice. Like it seemed like
Like
they needed
that.
to develop him a tiny bit more for the next part of Boba Fett, but the way the seasons lined up, they couldn't do it, so they just shoved it in here instead.
Like that one episode that you've seen now, episode 5. Like that's a direct continuation of the season finale of season 2.
Right.
So like that's
Yeah.
because like you see that
It
he needs a new ship. Like like you know that now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and you know the weapon that he has, and you know how he got it. You know what I mean? So
For
like,
for the most part, yeah.
and you know he doesn't have the kid at that moment in time. But you already knew like that, I guess, through like spoilers and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. For the most part, I got the gist of it, but like it doesn't feel super Star Warsy, and I think the biggest part or like reason for me is the soundtrack. Like
Mm.
if you just played the soundtrack by itself, I wouldn't know that it was Star Wars. Like there isn't even the brassy hint of like the original Star Wars music, the main soundtrack. Even in the intro where it shows like what is it, like Darth Vader's helmet, R2D2, Kylo Ren, whatever, like that intro segment, and then just says Star Wars and like just generic adventure music. No Star Wars tune to it whatsoever.
But I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it into like a generic, like I think they're trying to make Game of Thrones Star Wars. Is why, and it's also why like Mandalorian was shoved into the Book of Boba Fett like that. Like he had an entire episode with the Mandalorian. And I think from like going on forward, like I know we're gonna get the Kenobi show, but I think with like between 6 and 7, I think you're just gonna get a general series. Like I know there's so many spin-offs announced, but it's all gonna be just like you're just watching Game of Thrones with different titles. Like all the characters are gonna intertwine, and they're gonna keep building and building, like
Yeah,
Avengers.
like I get that, but I want it to be more Star Wars. Like I want to definitively know that I am watching Star Wars. Like the Clone Wars. Like they still had really good storylines and stuff like that. Some great episodes, but it was still very, very clearly a Star Wars
But like,
story,
what do you want
basically.
them to do though? Because like the Clone Wars had Obi-Wan, Anakin, Padme, R2D2, Captain Commander Cody, and General Grievous. Like they had all these characters. Like after 6, the Emperor is allegedly dead. Vader is dead. Like there's no bad guys. Like there's no. It's just a lawless time in the galaxy, right? So like they're slowly trying to, like, I'm not going to, like, you haven't seen this week's episode, but they're slowly introducing like
No.
more antagonists for you to get behind, like these characters to like follow behind them.
Right.
Because there's no Leia, there's no, like, they might show up somewhere, but so far there's no Han, Luke, and Leia to like that you're following, right? Like, cause like in
Yeah.
the original you had like a cast of like 5 characters, like Han, Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, R2D2, 3PO, like those you're following. That's their story, and like Lando is in there too, I guess. But like
Yeah.
you're like in Yoda and like Luke's getting his training. Like that's the story. You can't just do that again. We don't want to do that again. We did that again in 7, 8, 9. It was terrible, right?
Yeah. True.
Like Poe, Finn, and Ray. Like we tried to follow these 3 characters, and like that felt Star Wars y, but like I just didn't like anything about it. So like I'm
Yeah. No.
totally. It's like it's fresh. We didn't know anything about this Mandalorian dude. You know, it's just
I think it
some
just needs
rando.
it needs at least a bit of the music. Like just get John Williams to to do the music, and it'd probably be fine for me, really.
Yeah.
Or just like a bit more of the classic audio that you always heard. Like I want to hear blasters that sound like I'm watching the original trilogy and stuff like that. Like I really liked um when the well, okay, how do I say this without spoiling it for people that haven't seen it? The
Which
Slave
show?
One bomb when
Oh,
it
okay. Yeah,
went
yeah,
off.
yeah.
It had that like that episode 2 sound that just sounded so good. And I love that. So it's just like more of that stuff where you hear it or you see it and you just immediately think that's that's my Star Wars right there.
Yeah,
That's my
but that
kid.
it's crazy you're saying, because you're watching in the wrong order, because that's not the first time we see it. You see it in the Mandalorian for the first time. That's when you're supposed to see it,
Well,
and it lines up like he's in the ship, and like I'll just straight up, I'll just tell you like the mini scene if you want. Like I like maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
I don't know. Is it gonna ruin?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, so he's in the slave one, and he's being chased by 2 TIE fighters, and they're side by side chasing him, and you just know the move that you know what the play is. It's Boba Fett in the slave one that they're trying to call the fire spray gunship, but it's the slave one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're they're
The,
behind
yeah.
him, and like there's no foreshadow. You just know what's gonna. If you've seen episode 2, you know exactly what the button is like, and it and the sound, like that's the first time you hear it, and it takes them both out, and it's just amazing.
Like what was it? Was it 8 where um they kamikaze the ship into the Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
like that moment where they cut all the audio and tried to make it sound dramatic. I would rather take the episode 2 explosion audio over that. I
Yeah.
think it would be better.
Yeah, they even had to put signs in like the theater saying like, "Hey, like there's not a problem with the
It's not
movie."
broken.
Yeah, like that's just I hate that. The movie looked great. I just hated everything about it.
Yeah. Are you
The
gonna tell us our plan? No, I'm gonna wait until everyone's almost dead, and then I'm
I
gonna kill
just
myself.
like maybe like after seeing all those, that's why like I'm so into like these shows because there's nothing like that in these shows. The only thing I have a problem with like Boba Fett is that like he wasn't even in one of his episodes, and it's like he hasn't really done anything in like the present day timeline. Like in the flashbacks, he's all kind of like badass, but like in the
Yeah.
present day, like he's so weak. He doesn't do anything. Like
Yeah, and he's just like this goofy guy, like when he's on the stupid speeder and he's got the big smile on his face. It's just
yeah, and he's like teaching, and it's like he's teaching like not spoiling like just like the Tuscans like all these things, right? Like when they're
yeah,
jumping on the speeders, like it's a riot. It's a great time. Like I was having a lot of fun.
he's goofy for sure.
Yeah. Or like in the episode when Mando is like at the he doesn't have a ship, right? So he's got to fly coach to Tatooine,
Yeah,
and he's got to check all his weapons. And like that's funny. That's the kind of humor I like in Star Wars. Not like the opening of Episode 8 where it's like your mom on the phone, like you know what I mean? Like when he's getting
yeah,
Hux. Is he
yeah.
there?
It's
I don't know.
horrible.
When Book of Boba
But
Fett wraps up, we'll do a review on the podcast of the series. So stay tuned for that.
no, that'll well actually it wraps up next week, right? So,
Yeah.
but it'll be the week after that's episode, since we always definitely release these on Tuesdays.
Today is Tuesday, is it not?
Yes,
It's
but
the first.
yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. We got to get this out before the end of Tuesday, so we got some work to do, some post processing. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, thank you for watching this episode of the Shameless Plug podcast. Don't forget to plug it to your friends, please. We need help in the advertising department. We don't want to pay for it. But yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it. Anything helps us. Really appreciate it. Comments even. But yeah, I'm
Yeah, that's
GMT
great.
Coco. I'm joined by your name here.
Lick my sock 117.
That's the one. Yeah, we'll definitely be back on Tuesday next week, as always, for sure. Yep. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot for listening. See ya.
Have a good one, fam.